Hey everybody, it's Cass and Court TV. It's your girl, Miss Public Info, here with the latest and greatest and sometimes hated updates of the most high-profile cases going on around the country. It is Thursday, October 2nd. We are on the eve of the infamous Sean Combs trial sentencing that is supposed to happen tomorrow. We are all on pins and needles to see what is actually going to happen. Of course, I came to you just a couple of days ago letting you know that the DOJ has given their recommendations of an 11 and a half year, 135-month sentence. And from that, the DOJ was presented with a answer from the defense, a 61-page answer from the defense. There is another episode that talks about that, but in this particular episode, we're going to talk about Sean Combs filing a 4-page letter to Judge Arun Subramanian. Now, Sean Combs is supposed to speak tomorrow during this trial. Now, how this goes normally during during this portion of the court process as it relates to sentencing is that the defense or the DOJ, the prosecution, as it were, they do their filings ahead of time, and then the defendant or the victim witness, which would be coming from the prosecution side, they then get to speak to that filing. So they basically just read aloud in court what they wrote in that filing. In Sean Combs' case, this 4-page note. Now, we are going to be looking at this letter together. I've not read this letter beforehand, so we're going to be reading it in its entirety. I will not skip a beat for you guys. We're going to take a look at this, and then you can go to the other episode that sort of gives you a more in-depth look as to what has been going on in this case since the DOJ's recommendation came down just a few days ago. There's a lot to go over there. Please make sure you subscribe and like. Make sure if you would like to support the channel, please do. All of the documents that I show you here today are obtained by the support of the channel. Those of you who have supported me, thank you so much, because you are supporting the documents. The documents that we need to get from the courthouse, those documents are not free. So we're able to receive those based upon your support of the channel. Please continue to support us. Please continue to watch, listen, like, and subscribe. Okay, so here we go. We're going to talk about this. Now, remember, may be new news for some of you that there are sort of strict rules about the courtroom process as it relates to defendants speaking in court. This is not a time for them to sort of give their actual opinions on other things. They have to stick to this script, so to speak. They have to sort of just speak to what they've agreed to speak to. Now, at no time prior to this letter has Sean Combs spoken to the court in this way. He did, speak to the judge in open court I believe, at the close of the trial, or almost at the close of the trial. But this is the first letter that we have seen from Sean Combs. So let's get on it. Dear Judge Subramanian, this is dated for today, October 2nd. I hope this letter finds you well and in good health and spirits. Thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts to you. First and foremost, I want to apologize and say how sincerely sorry I am for all the hurt and pain that I have caused others by my conduct. I take full responsibility and accountability for my past wrongs. This has been the hardest 2 years of my life, and I have no one to blame for my current reality and situation but myself. In my life, I have made many mistakes, but I am no longer running from them. I am so sorry for the hurt that I caused, but I understand that the mere words "I'm sorry" will never be good enough, as these words alone cannot erase the pain from the past. Over the last 13 months, I have had to take a look in the mirror like never before. My pain became my teacher. My sadness was my motivator. I have to admit, my downfall was rooted in my selfishness. The scene and images of me assaulting Cassie play over and over in my head daily. I literally lost my mind. I was dead wrong for putting my hands on the woman that I loved. I am sorry for that and always will be. My domestic violence will always be a heavy burden that I will have to carry forever. The remorse, the sorrow, the regret, the disappointment, the shame. I honestly feel sorry for something that I couldn't forgive someone else for. If they put their hands on one of my daughters, this is why it is so hard for me to forgive myself. It is like a deep wound that leaves an ugly scar. Your Honor, I thought I was providing for Jane, meaning Jane Doe, aka Daphne Joy. Those are my words, concerning her and her child. But after hearing her testimony, I realized that I hurt her. For this, I am deeply sorry. I lost my way. I got lost in my journey, lost in the drugs and the excess. My downfall was rooted in my selfishness. I have been humbled and broken to my core. Jail is designed to break you mentally, physically, and spiritually. Over the past year, there have been so many times that I wanted to give up. There have been, on some days, I thought I would be better off dead. The old me died in jail, and a new version of me was reborn. Prison will change you or kill you. I choose to live. Every day since my incarceration, as difficult as my circumstances currently are, I have made the best of my time by reading books, writing, working out, or in therapy. Now, this is the first time he admits to therapy, obtaining the tools and knowledge to deal with my past drug use and anger issues. I have been putting in the work and working diligently to become the best version of myself to ensure that I never make the same mistakes again. I realize that I am in a situation where no amount of money, power, or fame can save me. Only God can save me. My grandmother used to teach me that God makes no mistakes and that everything he does is for your good. I believe that a bad situation can be used for good. And although this situation has been the hardest and darkest time in my life, I good things have come out of my incarceration. For starters, I am now sober for the first time in 25 years. I have been trying my best to deal with my drug abuse and anger issues and take accountability, as well as positive steps towards healing. One of the most beautiful things I have experienced is being asked by my fellow inmates to teach and mentor them. They wanted to learn what I did to become a successful businessman. I was inspired by their hunger and desire to learn information in order to not only set goals but achieve any goal dream that their hearts desire. I started teaching a 6-week program called Free Game, title given by my fellow inmates, which I was able to have approved and sanctioned by the Bureau of Prisons. I don't just teach about my success, I also teach about my mistakes and failures. It has truly been a blessing to do something positive in a negative situation. It has been beautiful to see the newfound hope in my fellow inmates' eyes. The most shocking thing was to see the unity and the peace this class has produced. And as you are probably aware, jails and prisons are segregated places. However, in our class, we have Black, Spanish, white, and Asian all together in one room learning and working together. We even have an interpreter for the Spanish speaking inmates. The biggest miracle that I've seen with this class is all the gangs such as Bloods, Crips, MS-13s, Trentonarios, I'm not saying that correctly, so sorry, and 18th Streets in one room working together. I am also proud to say that since this class started, there have been no fights in our unit. This class has also helped me in my time of need and despair. Being able to do something good for others also has given me much needed hope. God blessed me with this opportunity to help others, and I will continue to do so. I ask you for mercy today, not only for my sake, but for the sake of my children. God bless me with 7 beautiful children, 3 sons and 4 daughters. Their names are Quincy, Justin, Christian, Chance, Jesse, Delilah, and the newest addition, a 2-year-old daughter, Love. 4 of my children lost their mother, Kim Porter, as she tragically passed away in 2018. I am their only parent. I have failed my children as a father. My father was murdered when I was 3 years old, so I know firsthand what it is like not to have a father. More than anything, I just want the opportunity to return home to be the father that they need and desire or deserve, excuse me. God has also blessed me with the greatest mother in the world. My mother sacrificed her life and dreams to provide for me and my younger sister, Keisha. She worked 3 jobs to make sure we had a roof over our heads, clothes on our backs, and the best education. My mother is now 84 years old, and she recently had brain surgery. Despite her own health challenges, she attended my trial every day. I have always been her primary caregiver. It breaks my heart that I put myself in this situation, and for the first time, I am unable to be there for my mother when she needs me the most. As I write you this letter, I am scared to death, scared to spend another second away from my mother and my children. I no longer care about the money or the fame. There is nothing more important to me than my family. I understand that one factor the court has to consider is deterrence. Deterrence for me and for others to ensure that no one follows in my footsteps and makes the same mistakes. For over a year, I have been locked in one room and 25 other incarcerated people sharing the same one room. In this room that I share, there are no windows, there is no natural clean air, there is no sunlight, and we live in one room. We eat, sleep, use a toilet, take showers, and prepare meals all in the same room. The conditions that my actions have placed me in are inhumane. I don't tell you this for pity or sympathy. I'm simply sharing my truth and the truth of my fellow incarcerated people. We have no clean drinking water, and we boil our drinking water. We all share one washing machine, which is broken. I am surrounded by drugs and live every day with the constant threat of being stabbed or losing my life. Again, I am not expecting pity or sympathy, but my time at MDC has changed me forever. Prior to being in jail, I took care of what was present for my family. Being in jail, and because of my conduct, I lost the ability to care for my mother. I lost the ability to effectively raise and support my children. I have missed my 3 daughters' proms and graduations. I have missed taking one of my daughters to college. I have lost the freedom to teach my 2-year-old how to speak, dance, play, or be there to console her when she falls down or has a nightmare. I started from nothing and worked hard to earn everything I had. But because of my conduct, I have lost all of my businesses. I have lost my career. I lost the charter schools that I started, and I have destroyed my reputation and sustained the reputation of those that work for me and stain the reputation of those who work for me. I lost my being present with my family. Between of all my losses and lessons, I can say for a fact that I will never be in another criminal courtroom again. And I do not believe any other person would do anything similar from fear or similar punishment. If you give me a chance, I would like the opportunity to share my story with people to prevent at least one person from making the mistakes that I've made. I can't change the past, but I can change the future. I know that God put me here to transform me, and since incarceration, I have gone through a spiritual reset. I'm on a journey that will take time and hard work. I'm proud to say that I'm working harder than I ever have before. I'm committed to the journey of remaining a drug-free, nonviolent, and peaceful person. I thank God that I'm stronger, wiser, clean, clear, and sober. God makes no mistakes. I realize that this trial has received a tremendous amount of global press, and Your Honor may be inclined to make an example out of me. I would ask Your Honor to make me an example of what a person can do if afforded a second chance. If you allow me to go home to my family, I promise I will not let you down and I will make you proud. Today, I humbly ask you for another chance to be a better father, another chance to be a better son, another chance to be a better leader in my community, another chance to live a better life. I am writing this not to gain any sympathy or pity. This experience is simply the truth of my existence and has changed my life forever, and I will never commit a crime again. Thank you for your time and consideration, Sean Combs. Okay, so that is the 4-page letter from Sean Combs. There's another episode behind this one that you're going to hear that I actually recorded before this came through. And so you're going to hear things in that episode that may not match up to what you just heard because this letter hadn't come out yet. But one of the things that I talk about in that episode, and I've said throughout, is that Sean Combs has not taken responsibility and he has been unrepentant, which is what the DOJ said in their recommendation. And in this letter, he has taken responsibility and accountability in this letter, but he's done so a day late and a dollar short. And this is not me being overly critical of Sean Combs, as some of you may fairly, in fairness, may believe. But this is just me being honest, because this is the sort of falling on your sword that the Department of Probation was looking for. This is the sort of thing that the judge was looking for ahead of, um, or I should say, post conviction, and also ahead of the trial court phase. This is what he was sort of looking for during that time. You have to remember that Sean Combs has been incarcerated since September of last year. And though, his trial didn't really get off the ground and start until March, April of this year, Sean Combs had some opportunities in the meantime, in between time, to sort of talk about and take accountability for his actions. And he didn't do that. And he didn't do it until today. Now, what does this mean, and how is Judge Subramanian going to take this letter? Well, the first thing is that I think that Judge Subramanian will appreciate the 4-page letter. This is the first time he's sort of heard from Sean Combs. This is the first time that he's sort of heard anything about what's been going on. But some of this in this letter, although he talks about, the affordability to give free game classes to his fellow inmates. He talks about, that he's sober now, that he wants to be with his children, that he's missed the graduations and taking his daughter a chance off to college, and, hearing the first words or seeing the first steps of baby love, and talks about, not the 4 kids, not Justin, Christian, and Quincy, and the girls, Delilah and Jesse, no longer having, their mother, Kim Porter, which was interesting, given what people think about the Kim Porter situation. But that's neither here nor there. We're not going to go into that. And he really sort of talks about his experience and how he's no longer, under the effect of the drugs. He's no longer, living that lifestyle. He's never going to be in a criminal court case again. He touches on, but doesn't elaborate on, therapy. And that was the thing I was hoping he would do. I was hoping that he would elaborate on the therapy. He just says, I'm taking therapy to teach me not to be angry, because this is the thing that would actually help him in the sentencing court phase of it, sentencing phase of this thing, where, instead of him sort of going on and on and on about how he's been able to mentor all these gang members and bringing people together and all of that, and that's all great. Judge Subramanian wants to hear, what are you actually doing to better yourself? I'm glad you're saying that you're not going to be in this courtroom anymore for a criminal case, because I don't want to see you here either. But you are, and you're saying, I'm sober and I'm this, that, and the third, but you don't say at any time how you're going to sustain the sobriety. He makes mention that deterrence is a big factor in determining sentencing for the judge, to his understanding. But really, what is a huge factor as well is the accountability. Now, accountability is saying, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I have no one to blame but myself. I'm sorry to Miss Ventura. I thought I was doing the thing that I needed to do for Miss Daphne Joy, but I wasn't. Yes, that is accountability. But the other piece of that accountability is also saying, I am taking X, Y, and Z therapy classes for anger issues. He touches on that, but he doesn't go into detail on that like he does the free game classes. And that's concerning, because it could mean that he's not really in those classes. We had heard a blip of, Sean Combs saying that, or his team rather, saying that he was in some sort of, anger management classes. But then right after that, he tries to get out. He's getting out of, I want to get out of jail because, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And all of that. So I would have loved to have heard more about the anger management classes that he's actually taking, any sobriety classes that he's actually taking, because these are the things that his defense team says sort of, spurred or spurned the domestic violence acts the acts of domestic violence. It was the drugs. It was the anger issues. So to go into detail about free game classes that you're giving, that's giving you so much hope, and that's great, but not go into detail on these, anger management classes and what exactly you're learning from them, and the sobriety courses or any that you might be taking, and how you're going to maintain sobriety even though you're out and you won't have anyone or anything stopping you from taking drugs or drinking or anything like that. That is a little bit disconcerting, because the effort should be level set in terms of how you're presenting yourself to the judge. Those are the things that the judge is going to look at. He's going to be happy with, Sean Combs saying what he's saying, but it's the things that he didn't say that the judge is going to be looking at also. It was a 4-page letter, but he did a lot of repeating himself, in the letter. And that's fine, because this is his stream of conscience and he's allowed to do that. But the other thing that we also have to look at too is that he did a little bit of complaining. Now, it was shrouded in the, well, I still hope for the future, but he took a moment to chastise the jail conditions. Now, he's allowed to do that. You can do what you want, but this wasn't the time to do that. This wasn't the time to, during this letter to the judge, or this time you have to address the judge. Um, this wasn't the correct time to sort of talk about the inhumane jail conditions, that you have to boil, the water in order for it to be clean, that that you essentially, you and 25 other guys dress, shower, eat, sleep in the same room, use the toilet in the same room. This Judge Subramanian, based upon what we've heard Judge Subramanian say in the past about Sean Combs's complaints about the MDR center there, the MDC, excuse me, a center there in Brooklyn. Judge Subramanian is not going to take this too well, because Judge Subramanian has said in the past, well, you didn't have a problem with the staff when they, protected you from, I guess it was some sort of scuffle that he was protected from. The jail conditions have improved immensely from the conditions in which they were previously, prior to a judge, a district court or federal judge actually whistleblowing on the jail. So they have said multiple times that the jail conditions have improved over time. So even though I understand where he's coming from, just as an individual, like if it's humane, it's inhumane, strategically, when you're trying to get a lighter sentence, he should have capped it at that. He really should have capped it to just, the sentencing, as it relates to, how, what he's doing to better himself, and not deflect, or what could be presumed as deflection, or something like that, into talking about the conditions. And he's speaking up for the other 25 guys that he lives with there, unbeknownst to whatever their cases are. You don't know what they are. Their being in those conditions doesn't, prove any sort of innocence on their part. They could have killed their mother for all we know. We don't know. So my point is that he shouldn't have wasted time, in my opinion, sort of talking to the judge about these conditions and about how these other guys have to go through this or whatever. He should have stuck to him as it relates to the free gaming classes, and him being a mentor to people, but also expounding more on the anger management classes, how you're going to ensure your sobriety, how you're going to ensure you stay level-headed during this time. It's not just about you just being with your family that's going to keep you that way, because prior to your jail sentence, you were with your family and it didn't keep you from doing those things. So he should have gone more into that. What is the therapy like? What are you learning in therapy about this, that, and the third? Other things that he talked about were fine. His grandmother teaching him things. He knows what it's like to live without a dad. He just wants to get back to his family. He's taking accountability and saying nobody got him here but me, himself there but him. Apologizing directly to Cassie Ventura, apologizing to Jane Doe, and saying he didn't know that he wasn't doing those things. Also, is going to look a little bit weird to the judge too, as it relates to Daphne Joy. He says, well, I didn't know. I thought I was just providing for her family. I didn't know that I was actually hurting her. When the evidence points to the fact that you did know, and that when she presented to you with that information, you told her BS and you yelled at her and told her to go on about her business. So some of this is not going to go over well with Judge Subramanian, because those of you who are listening right now need to understand that Judge Subramanian is looking at this from the seat of someone who has been on this trial from the trial's inception. He has been here for the lifetime of the trial. So this is not a new set of ears. This is a set of ears that has heard everything, the gamut. He understands the DNA of the trial. He understands the DNA of the case. He understands Sean Combs and who Sean Combs has presented himself to be in this case. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of sway this particular 4-page letter did for Sean Combs. I'm not saying it was a terrible letter, guys. I'm not. But what I'm saying is he may not have given enough in one area and gave too much in another, and that another area may have been the complaining and may have also been a little bit of detracting from what is actually at hand here. And it also may have been a little bit of the Babe in the Woods act as it relates to Miss Daphne Joy and what was going on there, because he's claiming he didn't know he was hurting her when the evidence points otherwise. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for this episode of Casting Court TV. We'll come back later on with another episode. Appreciate you guys. Please don't forget to subscribe and like. Please support the channel. If you like any documents that you see here on Casting Court TV is being supported by the viewers. All donations that you give support Casting Court TV to purchase those documents, so you are able to take a look at those. If you are a member of Casting Court TV, you will automatically receive those documents after each episode that showcases those documents, those court docs, because they're yours if you are a member. All right, guys, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you later. And that's been it for this episode. Peace.